Hey everyone, welcome to the Paladins Premier League. It is week number 5 of the summer split, so by the end of this week we're going to know exactly who's joining us in Georgia. But joining me today on the desk to start things off, as always, is Gormizer. What up?
Not much. I'm excited for today because I think this first matchup is probably one of the bigger ones that we have for this week, kind of setting, I think, the tone and, again, helping figure out who exactly is going to be joining G2 Fnatic when they do come to LAN.
And at the end of this week, we're ending June, which means we're that much closer to November, which means we're that much closer to HRX at DreamHack. Don't forget to buy your tickets, highresexpo.com, November 16th through 18th. I'm super stoked to see the venue and how everything's going to come together. But, of course, all of these teams, they have to focus in the now, right? We're trying to see exactly who's coming to the LAN, as we do have our overview with those dates being in the latter part of July. And then, yeah, not that much longer before we hit those PWC placements.
It's going to be, we're going to be doing placement rounds over my birthday, and then I get to go to DreamHack as like a present for me, I guess.
Oh, nice.
And then
I'm
work.
not here for my birthday this weekend.
No, you're leaving us.
Yeah, only for a couple days. I'll be back before, well, I guess there's no PPL next week.
There is no back.
But everyone remember, we have standings so far going into this week, and some things are secured as far as G2, Esports, and Fnatic both coming to the LAN. But that second and third spot in both of the regions, that's where things get a little tricky. 4-2, 4-3 for Renegades. And hopefully by the end of the schedule we have this week, well, I mean, we're guaranteed to know which of those teams are coming on down. But as you said, the first one we have on deck should be pretty intense.
You can see kind of the pathway that some of the teams have been able to take. And NIP coming at the beginning, again, this is a big one. Both these teams are 4-2. Both of these teams, whichever one comes ahead, one becomes 4-3, one comes 5-2. So no matter what you end up doing now, one of these teams essentially confirms themselves that spot where it's just, okay, we're ahead of the only other person that could touch us right now. That's all we needed.
And the second match of the day is going to be Fnatic versus VP. The first match is, well, NIP versus Na'Vi, a big determining factor on who is going to be coming on down. So what are you most looking forward to with this?
I'm honestly kind of curious to see how this one shakes out, just because, again, we've talked about Diggy Dog kind of coming into this, but NIP have been looking better each week. And this is like that, okay, you're in week 5, you're in this moment that is kind of do or die. Do you actually have it? Have you improved? Or is Na'Vi still going to be there? Because Na'Vi, again, is a team that performs incredibly well once their backs are against the wall.
When you see them just zoned into it and you can see on their faces, it can be mighty deadly. And of course, you have that kind of interesting factor between Lazy now being on Na'Vi facing off against NIP, where it's got to feel pretty bad, man, if you end up being the one of that roster to not make it.
And you're in that area where it's just like, you're looking at Na'Vi, who's been making tons of lands. They've been coming to every single one. NIP, not quite so much. And so you're looking at, man, if Lazy switches over to Na'Vi and then doesn't get land, you start bringing yourself down, I think, at that point, because you're like, man, for some reason, like, I'm a bad luck charm when it comes down to it. But the rest of the team, and again, with the way they look, you mentioned, like, the fact that they all get very stoic, very serious. It's always really interesting to see Phoenix, like, before game, all smiles. In game, it's like this just pure dedication, like, nothing exists outside of the realm.
And he's been really leaning into that flex role as they brought in Lazy to be that frontliner, especially with that switch out for Umbi. But Phoenix, whether it's the Cassie, his occasional Tyra when they let him play.
When they let him.
But if they do double frontline, then he can obviously do well there, considering that used to be what he mostly played. But you need that flex individual.
And I'm honestly excited to see how this is going to work, again, because he's been changing so much of his playstyle. The first week when he came out and he played that Shaolin, it was one of those moments where afterward he was like, oh, that wasn't even that great. Don't look at that. And then I was like, man, you were playing phenomenally, and you've gotten better since then. And it was one of those things that you just have so many good DPS players. He didn't feel he was on par. Now I would say he is on par, if not, a little bit better than some of the ones that we've seen throughout the league. So definitely in that area that I think he's been a very big cornerstone for their success.
And when we're talking about that particular role, somebody who can flex onto multiple champions on the side of NIP, we got to see that in full force with Bonker, for instance, and the team really coming into their own and seemed to be kicking it into high gear, doing in this split what we've been finally waiting for.
How many triples did he get in this game?
A lot.
It was a lot. I want to say, like a minimum of 3. 3 triple kills is pretty good when it comes through. But again, just being able to flex over onto Leon, and that has been the big difference maker for me this split. More than anything, even last split, it was kind of noticeable, but as we've gone through the lands and coming into this summer split, the teams that have the best flexibility have been the ones that have made the most consistent wins. You look at Fnatic, their ability to pretty much just play whatever they want whenever they want gives them that lead. So now you have someone in Bonkar that you can trust. Okay, if we grab Leon, who is a great pick right now, you can play it. You can play it really well. So that might be a turning point.
And there is something to be said about finding your identity as a team, what comps are your strength, but you do need to be able to adapt to as the meta changes, as other teams adapt. You don't want to become predictable. So having that key component to be able to do that is very imperative to your success. With Na'Vi and NIP, we're going to go ahead and start looking at our maps where we're kicking things off for this best of 5. And it's really difficult to try and figure out what you should expect with this, being that they've both made such changes in their playstyles over the past weeks.
This set, to me, has like 2 paths it can go down, right? It's either Na'Vi win this and they look dominant, or it goes really long, all 5 games, and it becomes that like last point, right? I don't think there's an in-between there. I don't think it's like a 4-map set. I don't think it's like 4-3, 4-3, 4-3, but someone wins with the 3-0. I think it is either someone shows such a dominating performance, or you are literally at the last minute hoping you can make land.
This first game could just tell us a lot on who's coming with the most full throttle, basically. As far as the bans, nothing too crazy there. Couple flanks, couple frontliners. But it is interesting to see Leon, the way that she's been very frequently picked, but then she's changed from being in the middle of the draft to more than once now being the first picked up. And sometimes it's worked, but sometimes it's been the deficit of a team.
And I like it because it's kind of one of those things where like, all right, we're going to show you outright that we are picking Leon, which there's not necessarily something that is an exact counter to Leon, nothing to really stop her from being her. But that immediately makes you go, well, and if you're on the other side, we can't pick Drogos anymore. We can't pick them at least as confidently as we could before until we know we can deal with that. And so you're going through it. If you had that plan, you're like, man, this is the blaster we want. It kind of gets shut down immediately.
Strix is coming to the table. So what do you think about the fact that obviously we've not seen as many snipers in Best, but maybe seeing Mutu just bust this out, really lock into somebody?
I like it. For this map, it's really good, and there's one thing that he's going to have. That flare being up keeps track of Eevee a lot easier, and so you can kind of keep track of where the flank is, and since it's Mutu, you can expect some flick shots potentially finding Eevee's head.
Those are always fun. But that's your NIP lineup right now. Looks like they're going double front line, Barrick and Nando with the Maldamba to keep them nice and topped off. And Drogos, final lock in here. And blasters have been a huge talk of the town lately.
I think this is going to be an interesting pickup for them because, again, like Leon's more than likely going to be focused on trying to take him out of the air, but you've got Strix, you've got Cassie to kind of put some pressure onto her and onto Eevee to make sure that no one on NIP feels too safe.
Well, I'm ready to go. Game 1, Na'Vi versus NIP. Who's going to be joining us to land? Let's start to find out.
Big sets here for both of these teams. One, not able to make the last LAN after missing, actually attending all of the previous LANs in Paladins esports history. That's NIP. Na'Vi, now 2 LAN wins in the course of 5 months over January, 2 of the biggest ones as well. What do you think is going to take place here?
I don't know, man. Either way you go, it's going to be some heartbreak, right? Lazy just left this team to go and try and make LAN, whereas Diggy Dog just left his team where he's made every single LAN. This would be his first event that he's missed in the history of his career in Paladins. And right out of the gate with these picks, I don't know if this is the first pick, Leon, almost feels a little scared for me because this is such a flexible pick for them, but it almost feels like we are too afraid to set a pace for this draft, right? We want to pick this because it'll be solid, it'll fit multiple people. It's never really dragging anyone down, but this isn't taking away something that has traditionally been super powerful, like a Cassie, for instance.
It's not a large statement. It's basically allowing this draft to kind of figure out where Na'Vi are trying to go and be able to be flexible with their damage options as well. Probably expecting the Drogos. That's a big surprise for me. The Diggy opts for that Eevee. Obviously, creatives would be able to shut down the dragon in the skies a little easier.
And look at this. Bird back on support, Sheepa back on the front line. Is this the time to be doing that, man?
There's a lot of question marks for sure. Sheepa here on the Barrack. He's played this champion, and you got to trust that the experience and the talent within these teams is enough to make the right calls or make risky calls and perform them well. Big shot there almost. And a beautiful hit. Mid-air Mutu and creatives combine for enough damage to 2-tap Eevee. And Bonker gets sent off the map thanks to the disengage from Phoenix. This is not how you want to start this off.
Wow. And this was that combustible I saw as well? The little dot damage taken by. So
I would love that.
disengaged into a combustible. My goodness. And Mutu has been playing combustible a little bit, but just on Jaguar Falls, I think, is what we've seen so far.
Yes, it is combustible. It's a great talent. We've seen so much of Fusillade kind of carry this onus for Drogoz and how he's played, but 850 is enough. Trust me, with this rocket speed, you're going to have plenty of damage. And the combustible on Frog Isle is so good on this bowl-shaped point. 96% here for Na'Vi, and IP trying to climb their way back, but it's going to be tough.
And we've seen how one sniper versus no sniper tends to go on Frog Isle. They got to get something going. Diggy gets picked again. And as this capture looks to go through for Na'Vi as the cleanup begins, I don't know if there's any restitution in this fight possible. Bonker is getting juggled around. My main concern was there's nothing that really pairs. I think Fernando's been great recently in the meta, but there's nothing on this NIP composition that I really love pairing with him. It's been, you know, Cuss Cutie and who's behind him on the Bomb King or something with a lot of punch to pack. I don't see Eevee or Leon really being able to follow it up. It's such a risk to put Leon that far out of position, and none of these Eevee matchups have been working out very well, as you can see.
I don't see a lot of great Eevee matchups here, to be honest. Drogoz is mid-air. That's a tough one for her, just in general. Inara's so tanky, and she doesn't have that type of immediate deletion that even though Drogoz and her hit for around 850 the same, he has that Dragon Punch. He's got that Salvo Spit. He's got ways to burst more than Eevee. Strix is tough to get to, and Cassie can handle her own for sure, especially if she hits you with that blast shot. 2-tap with another arrow. It's going to be tough for Diggy Dog to make things happen.
To be honest with you, I wonder if that's why we see Combustible here. Like I said, it's only previously really been a Jaguar Falls pick for Mutu. Granted, he hasn't played that much Drogoz overall in his career, but you got this Leon that's a relatively stationary pick. You've got this Eevee who's too damn hard to track mid-air flying around with Fusillade anyway, so you just hit her with a Fire Spit that's going to take 75% of her HP.
And it's forcing her on the defensive, right? The whole point about this Eevee is that they want to be offensive with her. Otherwise, it's just a statement of, I have a sniper and you don't. That just wins this fight. They cannot stop one player's damage, and they don't have the same type of front line with a beautiful shot there by Creatives onto Perdo as a Terminus, as an Inara, somebody who could just stand there and soak it up. This is a very, very difficult matchup NIP have put themselves in. So far, Na'Vi are close to closing out at 2-0.
And it looks like it will slow down just a hair here. Let's take a look at the damage charts after a couple of minutes of play here. I'm very curious, particularly about Mutu. Just barely out in front, though. Probably with that shot is Creatives. Diggy Dog takes yet another spill. He has found zero traction on Eevee.
Creative's always getting creative, man. I think he shoots him under the armpit of Fernando there, finds a dome, and makes sure he sends her home. 38 seconds left. Another shot, 1380, so must be running a little bit of that Luminary on that shot as well. There's a nice seismic crash, and it does stun too. No kills just yet. They're still surviving, but this is looking really precarious for NIP.
Mutu is playing so safe right now. It makes a little bit of sense. He's got the 900 HP, but there's threats to him on the board. This Leon, her damage is not effective. It's not that bursty at this range. He would have to hit a presence or something to be able to find some relevant DPS. There it is. Diggy Dog finally will connect. And Evan, that might be his first kill.
And if it is, we can take a look at the KDAs. You'd have to say not the round they were hoping for, and it is, Nick. The first killing blow. Died 3 times. For a round that was so dominated by Na'Vi, not a ton of deaths. It's not a bloodbath. Everyone's died about 2-3 times there. You see one combustible.
Frankly, Parado's probably a little upset that Diggy Dog gets that one. That's just a good old-fashioned good rocket. He gets the 15% from Luminary as well. You're right, it wasn't disengaged there. Phoenix caught him sneaking.
Beautiful stuff, and he's already worried about, he uses his charge as well, so he can't get back on. He charges out, gets hit with a combustible. Follow the Scent, an interesting card. Not a lot of Drogoz players use, but when you have combustible, when you have that AoE that you're playing off of, really good anti-heal that can be applied to multiple characters. And Barrack needs all the healing he can get. Doesn't even have a huge health pool.
Everybody needs all the healing they can get from Bird. He's staying on top of it for the most part. It is Damba versus Genos. Even with the Nara, you expect early on before rejuvenates and things of that nature, any cauterized leads that you may get, just raw straight up. Maldamba should be able to win that. Here's the problem, though. This is what I'm saying. You know, who's with this Fernando? Diggy Dog so far away. That's been such a potent combination, really forever, to be honest. Fernando plus something has been great pressure in the back line. But Bonker is just hitting a brick wall.
And that's the thing when you look at Cassie, 792, 792. That's basically, I mean, you know, we're cutting, you know, a little bit of corners here, but that's basically hitting for what an Eevee would hit you for. And a little bit less, but still, he's doing it so easily. Eevee's got to blink in, blink out. She's worried about getting shot from everywhere. you know, Phoenix is having a walk in the park here on an easy Sunday morning. This is Natus Vincere, I think, just draft working for them better than NIP.
It's no pressure on the Cassie, and I mean, you're right. She shoots faster than Eevee, so you know, if you want to do the math out, it's going to be about the same amount of pressure. It's really crazy what a Cassie can do in that specific situation. That is like her wheelhouse. Mutu, by himself, the furthest far, he will eventually die, but he is leading the charge, so to speak, for Na'Vi there, and still almost gets out of that engagement.
Blast shot luckily hits the shield, otherwise Bonker is going down, and he's still going to go down as well. There's only so much Bird can do. Doing a great job of being safe. He's only got 1 death. He has to dive there now, but it's a day late and a dollar short. Natus Vincere 2-1. Excellent play from them so far. These are the defending World Championship champions in 2018. They're defending Masters Land champions, taking down Fnatic in that heartbreaking set for Fnatic, who we'll see play a little bit later today. And Na'Vi are doing everything they can to get back and win the next land that is approaching here in July.
Fnatic already clinched for said event. It's going to be interesting to watch what they come up with later in the day when they have an easy opponent in Virtus Pro and nothing to lose whatsoever.
Yeah.
You got to wonder what they're coming at. And I gotta say, I'm wondering how much do I like Eevee in a 2 DPS composition,
yeah,
right?
and I think that's the big struggle as well. I mean, you go for that Fernando, which is often, we've heard Bird say this before, that's why the triple tank, it happens. Just Fernando, that fat flanker, and it works well as the through time and space misses. But right here, they don't even have enough really with their 2 DPS to say that this is just a tertiary damage dealer. They need 2 main damage dealers. I would consider Eevee not quite there on a map like this with sniper pressure.
Oof, Sheepa falls. So you saw him try to get off the dome shield as well. Creatives hits another one. Evan, I think that might be it for this round, and there's just not enough pressure on the board. Whether it's 3, whatever amount of DPS players, tanks, doesn't matter what it is. Eevee needs, I think, a decent amount of pressure to succeed, just to get eyes off of her, because when shots like this from Creatives are landing, it's dominoes for Na'Vi. He pushes Peridot out, and then Phoenix steps up on the stage and shoots whoever he wants for the duration of the fight. And it's like, you know, it's only 1 kill, but it almost feels like the fight's over at that point.
Let's have this conversation, because you mentioned earlier in a couple casts past that you like the Barrack because he worked well with the triple DPS. And now, you know, when you talk about Luminary, you talk about those things hitting hard, they're not running that triple DPS. They pick Barrack second, essentially.
They're playing him on point.
And so how are you, you know, when you have other options there?
Evan, there's so much weird to me going on right now. This first pick Leon, it's weird. Bird and Sheepa switching roles, it's weird. It's like Bonker had this insane week on Leon last week, and now it's Peridot on it. I don't know. Just a lot of weirdness through game 1, but it's the best of 5, so nothing's over until the fat lady sings.
And I think they say we have to full commit here, guys. This game is almost lost. We have to full commit, do something they're not expecting. They use the Dome Shield, they use the Immortal to cement their spot. Mutu, Creatives, and Lazy, though, finding a couple kills. Despite that, Lazy's still alive. I can't believe that Lazy is still fighting. He finally goes down thanks to Peridot, but Mutu and Creatives are the ones who clean up the entirety of Ninjas in Pyjamas there.
But how mad can I really be at that? They made a play, right?
They
said, we're going to go here, we're going to burn these ults, we are going to make some type of statement in this game. It's a 1-3. They have comeback mechanics, so if they win that, they basically secure themselves a payload after the fact. But Na'Vi just looking better.
51% and counting here, 60% now going for Natus Vincere, trying to claim themselves a victory. And as Peridot in the back line looks to get pressured, he goes into the Enlightenment. Great dodge roll as well here from Na'Vi's Phoenix, trying to stay alive. The pressure from Diggy Dog, it's not enough, Nick. I think this is going the way of Na'Vi. Let's NIP come up with a master play.
One more fire spit comes through here. Mutu to the back line with a salvo is going to pick himself up a second. It's a 2-for-1 so far. Na'Vi still have a long way to climb.
Yikes.
And that mountain only grows taller.
Looks like this is going to do. I don't see anybody coming back from that type of dominant performance. It's Natus Vincere. We're going to take game 1 here in this set. The PPL is looking strong, and of course with Europe, it's going to be a very interesting day to see if NIP can overcome all of these bounded obstacles that have been sticking in their way, especially with the new changes of their roster with Diggy Dog.
And you know, the road doesn't end with this matchup. This is a must-win matchup.
Not at all.
And then the rest of the week has to go well. I won't get into the game differentials here, but they have to have a good set against Fnatic and hopefully beat Fnatic to have a chance at coming.
Going to be interesting, but let's send it to the desk to break down game 1 and see how that all unfolded after today.
Well, Na'Vi, we said that when they want to go full throttle, they do, and that's exactly what they did in game number 1.
Again, backs against the wall, and that's when they stop making those small mistakes that I feel like, again, like award Virtus Pro a win. When it's things like that, when it's just like, okay, what is it that you've been doing wrong more than what is it? I mean, partially what they were doing right, and in that case, it was just dominance. So it was, where can we control this? Where can we kind of corral you so there's never a point for you to actually fight the objective?
And once we knew exactly what the entire comp was going to be, we had a better idea who was going on what. And Creatives in this case was, once again, as per usual, pulling his weight within the game. But what did you specifically think of his play on this sniper?
A lot of really good shots. And honestly, the way this worked, I love the way they balanced it out, specifically because you're in this spot where it's like, all right, you have Mutu creating some space for you. He's finding shots that's going to pretty much equalize. One or the other is going to hit you for about 1,200. And then the other one can hit you, and then you're dead. There's not much of like a sustainability for any of the damage or any of the carries on the side of NIP. Once one of them found you in their sights, it was perfect. And I think Creatives, the way he kind of found the balance between Strix being able to go close range, long range, it just kind of kept Diggy Dog locked down.
Yeah, Diggy Dog was on the EV, and I know in one of his past performances he wasn't as happy either with his EV play, even though we've seen it pretty great in the past. It's hard, seems to be, when going against Na'Vi here for him to really pop off.
And I feel like part of that is, again, Na'Vi, but another part of it is also Frog Isle. I feel like Eevee has not had the success rate that you would want on Frog Isle that a lot of people tend to pick for her. She has the things you need from a flank on Frog Isle to have it meet that success, but then you get a Drogoz or a Strix shot to the head, and all of a sudden you can't really do any of those things anymore. You find yourself in an ice blocks, Creatives just goes, okay, well, your head's going to be right about there, and then he fires the minute you come out.
Yeah, just can't feel too good.
No, that is probably the worst feeling playing Eevee, is getting shot right after your ice block.
But then going into game number 2, NIP, they're now down 1 game. So what are some things that you think they might need to switch up?
I mean, looking at the draft, again, you kind of had to play to the map. I feel like Na'Vi got a lot more for Frog Isle there that felt a lot more comfortable on Frog Isle. Very easy to pull off. Cassie, Strix, Drogoz, nothing really out of the ordinary. You can just kind of put it on the map if they play themselves to an extent where it's just like, all right, Strix, you're going to stand here. You're going to be able to shoot them because long range and they can't see you. And same thing goes kind of for Drogoz, for Cassie. So wherever they go next, I want to see them kind of make sure Na'Vi doesn't get as much comfort for the map.
Well, let's find out where we're going for map number 2. Frog Isle taken off the table. That was Na'Vi. And NIP on Stone Keep, we've seen, as you've kind of said before, it can go back and forth, but sometimes it'll just swing totally in one's favor.
This is such an interesting map for me, just because I feel like, again, like you look at this as map number 2, and it tends to be, okay, well, that team just had a dominating performance. They're going to have another one here. If it goes to map number 4, for some reason, that's where things swing around. So coming here, this is looking, again, really good for Na'Vi, especially with the way bans went last time, the way their picks went. They could pretty much draft almost the exact same thing, maybe swap Strix out for one other DPS, and you're golden.
Yeah, I doubt that they're going to be bringing the Strix to this one in particular. But bans are somewhat similar, except Leon starting to make herself known in the ban area too, which is just interesting. Genos is the first pickup.
I'm actually kind of intrigued by Genos, I think, at first, because again, you have Maeve open, you have Drogoz open, but he's the one who enables everything, right? It doesn't matter really what you put with them. They're going to be doing damage now. They grab Drogoz and Cassie on the other side. NMP, that's a really good start. But again, it's one of those things that Na'Vi, especially if you go for that kind of support first, you have to have a plan for the rest of your draft.
Yeah, and then Barrick gets locked in, and there's the Maeve. So having both of those available, if you do want to go single front line, he can benefit pretty decently from Genos in this situation. Maeve, obviously, as well. And if you're not going to ban her away, then I'm pretty sure that means, okay, you're going to be picking her at some point in time, usually towards the top.
And it kind of opens up the door, at least on the side of Na'Vi, to look at some front lines that otherwise you probably wouldn't want to play. If the other side had Maeve, you get a Nara and you're like, sweet, or you have a Nara on the other side, you're like, sweet, our Maeve can do a lot just to get rid of her, especially with the way things are going. NIP are locked in this area where it looks like triple DPS. It doesn't have to be, but you can grab like Fernando, you can grab Terminus, you can be comfortable with your front lines.
Nando, Barrick, Willow.
Didn't see it coming.
You're like wearing Willow colors. I guess you and Nick are
Me and Nick, we channeled it. That's what happens if two people wear pink. Willow has to actually be played. It's in the rules.
You do some ritual before we
it's
start.
Like Section 6, Part C or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, if you go in those terms and conditions early on, then
I really
that's
wonder.
exactly
I'm sure we have 6 sections in our rule. I'm kind of curious as to what I just said was the
now
rule
we
for
need
us
to
wearing pink.
find out. But here's your lineups, everybody. Na'Vi currently up within the set, and let's go into game 2.
So Fernando and Barrick, a pretty common pairing as well for Na'Vi and NIP, both using that frontline pair. Didn't work for NIP. Na'Vi go for it, and this time NIP say, we didn't have enough, so we're going to take the Inara, we're going to feel comfortable there, and then they flex onto the Ruckus. a champ that hasn't really been around.
I think the Ruckus is really good, right? Otherwise, you're leaning fairly heavily on this Inara and this Damba combination, which is going to be hard countered by the Willow. But it's about how much uptime does this Willow get in the fight? That's always the question you have to ask when she's picked up.
Because she flies.
Yeah.
I get
wing.
it. How much uptime?
It's part of the dance. This little jam going on in the background is also part of the Willow dance.
Definitely
All
is.
things we do for you at home to summon champions you don't get to see very often.
And will it be Creatives who pioneered the Willow at the beginning with Nightshade? And it wasn't Nightshade that he was using Blast Flower, getting things like the Willow ult charge nerfed because he was the guy who played it first at a high level, alongside FRZ God as well in Brazil, who really showed us these tactics.
Shout outs to him, man. He's kind of, made it more into prominence now for sure.
Oh, definitely. And I think, you look at him, will he have any creative kind of play? What will his uptime be as far as how high will it get in the air? But how long will he stay alive to impact this fight? Already taking about 700 damage off the bat.
Nothing there on the Nightshade at the backline. Seedling's going to be
that's
good.
a good one.
It's going to hit Ruckus pretty hard, basically removing that 3,000 HP shield. But early on, Evan, I don't know. This front line from NIP is one hell of a spearhead.
It really is, and obviously the pressure from Diggy Dog, it can end you at any time, and the Nightshade Burst trying to finish him off, but Perdeaux finding that early kill, getting the early shot on to the Willow, it's just been so good for him, and he's running actually some damage reduction in his loadout. If you take a look at what Creatives has running card-wise, you'll see that he's got some damage reduction after he flutters Sprite Fly 5.
Damage reduction has definitely been on the up and up, right? It's one of the very few unmitigatable stats. Bonus damage doesn't stack additively against it, to my knowledge. It'll just, post-mitigation, that's what you get through, unfortunately. Diggy Dog finds what looks like a long-range pick onto Spunky with these Fusillade rockets, 2 to Genos, and he gone.
And you see Phoenix as well getting very low. Lazy trying to come back here onto the barrack. So often in my career, if I, kind of giving him a hard time, and teams that have put Lazy on Barrack, but Na'Vi know what they're doing. So do NIP. They feel confident. They take one punch, but they're easily ready and able to deliver another one. 99% of the objective trying to find this trade with Diggy Dog. It's going to be huge, and Mutu finds it, misses the pounce. And he's not cleaned up yet, still stays alive thanks to Street Justice damage reduction, but he will go down now.
I mean, that's it. It's very all in, and this is one of those games from Mutu. He has those moments of like we just saw, Game 1 Frog Isle, he is so passive, far, far in the back line, playing combustible when no one else really is. Then he has games like this where he's going to go in 4v1 on this Mave. He's going to trade out 1 for 1 99% of the time, but NIP have found that 1%, that error in Mutu's code where he misses a pounce, and potentially their brightest timeline now is they have a chance to go up 2-0.
Maybe that's error. That error in his code is what makes him human, Nick.
Yeah.
Maybe
99% really Terminator.
1% human, and thus he has the beauty of making some show-stopping plays as always. Creatives up in the air, finds a kill and forces them back. So Na'Vi doing a good job of holding, better than NIP did on Frog Isle, I would say. So despite NIP winning here, it seems like Na'Vi haven't lost full control of this set.
39 now on the clock. Ultimate's starting to come up, but Creatives stemmed most of that aggression with his first Fae flight of the game. Like you mentioned, very quick to charge, though. He's already back to 15%. He's looking for Diggy Dog here, and another missed pounce. I'm going to give him some credit here because Mave doesn't make it through in the draft very often, but he's got to start connecting on those.
And, you got to give credit, too, to Bonker because Bonker made it difficult to have an easy pounce location. He's trying to dash around Bonker, and he's also trying to not get killed by Bonker while he finishes off Diggy Dog. Meanwhile, the minigun's firing, the emitter comes up. So he does feel that pressure there, but that is something, like you said, when you pick the Mave, you have to execute on. Diggy Dog is really the pin, which is holding, I think, NIP squad together. If that burst damage is gone, then you're looking at, obviously, Ruckus able to contribute a bunch, Cassie being there, but not the same type of potency that makes it so hard for Lazy to survive with that salvo hitting and forcing the barricade up as well.
There's that dead zone, though. No healing coming through for Diggy or Ruckus as he passes back through. That could be a problem here in a second. Bird gets back into the safety of his team. But NIP severely struggling to break this choke. Na'Vi are even holding more aggressively than most teams will, giving the offense more of a chance, in my eyes, to actually get that lucky pick.
Yeah, I agree. And Mutu here being, like you said, not taking his foot off the gas, aggressive, and I like that. I think you have to go for that aggressive style here because NIP are very close. It could be like that. These teams have played each other. They know each other so well. At any moment in time, NIP could say, oh, now we got our momentum. Now we found a couple kills. Mutu's been dead for about 30 seconds in a row because Diggy Dog's just had his number. And we feel like we can win this set. That's not what you want.
Big rocket to the face there puts Mutu in a spot. Diggy Dog as well, as he's taking a couple of daggers. It's Inara, though. She's going to get this overtime started. She's going to get the payload where it needs to go, but high ground still not in control, not even close to NIP's control, as Creatives recklessly diving the backline here. This is not a very traditional Na'Vi way to take a fight.
No, it's not. And, you know, I think Nightshade is great. It's cool, but you see how unimpactful it was against that Ruckus there. I mean, Bonker doesn't even drop below mid-health, and he's not going to die anytime soon. It's a rough matchup against the tanks. Bonker going for the Hexafire late game, and you wonder.
Going for it.
You got to wonder why.
I mean,
just saw an opportunity there?
I think so. I think, he just saw a glimmer of hope. And frankly, I think it is going to take plays like that for NIP to win this set overall. They're going to have to find a couple of those. Not to say Na'Vi are playing sloppy. They're just playing more aggressive than I'm used to seeing from them. And I think more aggressive play does just inherently leave you more open to be exploited, to be countered, to be hit and counterpunched along the way.
Does that lend itself to Na'Vi just having more confidence than NIP, though? Or at least confidence against NIP in this set?
Maybe. I think they have the more aggressive lineup. Here with the Barrack and the Fernando, especially when Barrack's given a free high ground like that, Lazy can be aggressive. What really surprised me there was how in-your-face Creatives got, especially against a Ruckus, who's kind of like the king of the 1v1. It's tough for Olo, I think, to win that, especially without Blast Flower.
The thing is, Through Time and Space is setting up for a very nice zone. But they don't have much going on, especially with the Dragon Punch. Fernando will go into the Immortal and force Digidog into a bad spot. Will he go down here? He's 2-2 in the KDA, and so he's got to try and find a kill. Sheepa finds one, luckily, and forces the Dome Shield, but there's still a lot for Digidog to do, and staying alive is his #1 job. Lazy hunting him down. Lazy hunting the Dragon and staying alive there with the bowling ball. He's going to keep healthy. He throws up the barricade, and he gets the kill thanks to Mutu. Lazy making a huge wraparound there. That plays big for Na'Vi.
He's going to get Bird as well, and his luck will finally run out. Perdo may have just saved this fight for NIP as he picks up 2. Lazy showing incredible resilience, really showing the strength of these meta Barrack builds right now.
And I mean, you just see the resets. It's just incredible the way he was able to navigate that fight. You just thought every second Barrack's done, he's down. I've got this kill 1 sec, guys. He's one shot, and he's not. And that was just a great, I think, adjustment. And you have to give shout-outs as well to Natus Vincere being able to have that healing from the Astral Mark and Genos, and Barrack able to play a little more aggressively than normal thanks to Spunky.
The Dome Shield into the bowling ball, into the barricade, into the next bowling ball. Lazy played the kit perfectly, used every single defensive opportunity the character had. And he's opened this opportunity for Na'Vi. Mutu hits both of those pounces. That's going to result in a dead and arm.
And now the thing that's happening is Na'Vi have put the 6-man in play for NIP. They have to stay on that point. And Na'Vi know they have plenty of time. They don't have to rush the objective at all. They could sit here and shoot down into the fishbowl. And NIP know it. So they want to win a fight. They want to get a man advantage, so that just can't happen. Midnight's used, and Perdo has to use the Scout as well just to stay alive. Digidog finds one. Can Creatives get this one? No, not yet. Bird is isolated, though, and Perdo has to take a break. Seedling goes down on the point. This could be huge, but he gets taken out of the sky by Digidog himself.
What a great rocket there. 81% roaring back against 99 for Na'Vi. One slip up, and that's it for NIP. Great rocket connects there as well. NIP will steal it away.
The things that NIP did in that fight, but also the things that Na'Vi did in that fight, breaching on the extraordinary here. And I think you have to say both teams coming to play here in Game 2 more so than we saw in Game 1. This is really a representation of how tight games can be between 2 high-caliber squads like this.
And, the Leon ban comes out for Na'Vi. And that's a little, I don't know if they just think, I think because it's first pick for NIP, Na'Vi are now saying, wow, they really want this today. They're really comfortable with it. Because NIP, I mean, arguably the Willow, right? But they don't really draft anything that gets hard counter. They don't have a ton of healing for death and taxes. They don't have a lot of thing that warrants that Leon ban.
Right.
And NIP, I don't know, maybe it was a 200 IQ bluff in the first game.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I love this draft from them. I think it's the perfect pick for Bonker. I'm much liking him more on the Ruckus.
And you have to say, if it works, Creatives, Willow, they're geniuses. But if it doesn't work, you have to say, was the Willow the right call? So far, I think it's been good for Creatives. I've seen that he's contributed to this fight well. I think it's a good map for Willow. He's been able to shut down some of what Inara likes to do.
Okay. We get the Dome Shield there. That's big. I'm happy with that, but it's still a minute 20 here.
Yeah.
He's going to get that back. Now you have your window of opportunity, NIP. Na'Vi, I don't know if they know where Immortal's at, but right now, defensive options are at basically 0 for Na'Vi. They have no Dome Shield. They have no Immortal. They have no Midnight for now to fall back on. I got to say, Perdo's been incredible on the Cassie as well. I think he's looked, you know, how can you not look better after going 0 and some change on Leon and Frog Isle, but a very impactful game for him, and that's big for Na'Vi.
And now maybe, you know, you talk about the 200 IQ play from NIP. Maybe it's from Na'Vi as well, banning out the Leon. That would have been the best champion probably to deal with the Willow in Fae Flight. Ruck is probably a second best, and that's why NIP take him despite him not being in the meta very much. But it seems like, you know, if they can deal with the Ruckus, put Bonker in a bad spot, that Fae Flight is almost uncontestable from everyone on this NIP roster.
Yeah, but what I would say to that is, like, you look at that one, he got that one moment, right, where he was above everyone, where NIP had to stand on the point, and that's what it's kind of about for Na'Vi. If they're forcing NIP to stand on the objective, if they're on the offense, forcing NIP out in the open, which is really only relevant during the payload push or the end of it, kind of where we're at right now, the rest of it almost, I don't know, NIP are just choosing to fight indoors where this Willow can't be quite as effective.
Natus Vincere with a defense, though. Mutu going down at the very last second.
God, 288.
Yeah, 288 doesn't feel good, man.
That doesn't feel great.
You know, it's difficult with damage reduction. You talk about it being the only unmitigatable stat. Sometimes that just feels bad. It's a very risky Dragon Punch. He bides his time, and then he ends
oh my
up
God, that was with the
creative
Dragon
from the
Punch.
backside.
I didn't even realize that.
It's one of those things where it all works out, right? That's just how it happens.
Oh, that was perfect, right? He needed he needed his Dragon Punch to stay in the air. He needed that Dragon Punch flight time to get his out of combat regen. And then he just stumbled upon this fairy that was in the sky, you know, right for the plucking.
Fairy.
That was beautiful. I mean, that really came together. 666 slash line, the number of the beast for Diggy Dog, and he's looked like one this game so far. Much better performance from both he and Perdo.
Ultimate's not quite full for Natus Vincere, but that Dome Shield is ever approaching Phoenix on a very, very aggressive backline push, and they've siphoned them into this corner now, and you have to wonder, is this Fae Flight going to get a lot since most of NIP are indoors? Diggy Dog seems to be going for him again up top, but this time he has no idea where he is, and I'm not sure if he's going to find a target. In fact, he won't, and now he is subject to some pressure from outside, but he's going to hold. Still 48% for Na'Vi.
And climbing, that's the thing here. They've got map control as well. They're very spread out. NIP, I'm not sure if they know what they want to do here. They obliterate that barricade from Lazy, who falls back probably faster than he thought he needed to. And that's a big swing and kills now for NIP.
And you have to ask the question, is it important for Lazy to stay there and get that 72? Is it worth him dying? Should he have pulled out at about 50, made sure he was safe, and then taken the fight again, knowing they had the capture advantage? We'll never get to know, but that's something to consider as well with NIP.
I'm going to lose sleep.
I know, having a chance to maybe do this again. Lazy is back. In control, 90% and counting. NIP have to come here very, very soon.
Bonker's not in a great spot. He brings out the Hexafire, trying to buy some pressure. Dome Shield comes back up. It gets shredded through. Bonker just lays waste to the 20,000 HP.
And Spunky finds a kill onto Sheepa, which is huge. Bonker now getting pressured, and it's really up to Diggy Dog. How much can he do in this fight? If he hits these shots, it could be everything. And yes, NIP climbing back thanks to Diggy Dog. He's coming here with a beautiful, beautiful amount of respect from his teammates, but he's got to earn it here in this game against Natus Vincere.
Spunky gets two there. Creative's beautiful back off there. He doesn't commit fully to the flutter. Means that it doesn't connect with the Dragon Punch coming through now as well. It will find a frontliner. Spunky's doing everything he can.
That was so close, Nick. Through time and space doesn't quite hit, but a huge one there from Diggy Dog, and NIP will capture yet again. It just seems like the inches are going NIP's way this game, and if they don't push here, you have to say this would be a crushing defeat considering they've won every point fight thus far.
What an offensive effort from Spunky, though. He's thrown out time and spaces. He's getting 2Ks with his weapon alone. Still damn near dead last on the damage charts, but he's doubling the other support. Almost cracking Inara as well. 5-4 and 19. A great effort from the longtime veteran, the only two-time world championship in the business.
1 minute 55. And you can see Diggy Dog here with a 11-7. Record for, which is much better than that early 2-2 slash line he had. So he's definitely stepped his game up, made a positive impact, had some moments go his way with Willow flying in the air and suddenly rounding a corner, seeing an appetizing fairy for a Dragon Punch target. But he's got to continue to do that. 6th streak for him. As Bonker getting pressured out on the right side.
Evan Mutu's got to get to work here pretty soon. The time he has spent traversing and getting to the back line here is a 4v5 for NIP, which they are exploiting. Luckily, Creatives is able to answer back with 1 kill. Diggy finds himself an interesting spot to get stuck on there. He's getting quickly close back to his Dragon Punch. It's full charge. NIP ready to go. 5 ultimates in hand.
This could be game. It's very close to being game here, especially if they burst Lazy. They
they're
know
going
it.
for it.
They realize this could be the end here, but Willow has Fae Flight. Is she going to go up into the air? Everyone is alive. She is up, but will she stay alive? No, I think NIP might just be bringing this one back. They grab the victory. It's 1-1, ladies and gentlemen, and oh boy, do we have ourselves a set.
What a slugfest this is shaping up to be, but I'm curious to see who can go the distance on these maps. You know, it's Navi's map, they look great. NIP's map, they look great. Drafts, I think these teams might be trying to figure each other out. A couple of bluffs, maybe fake outs going on. That's what we have to look out for going forward.
It's going to be interesting because NIP now showing they can battle with the best. This 200 IQ Leon, ban and first pick. Who's getting the better end of it? It seems like NIP have now. I'm curious what the desk has to say about how NIP now tied it up against Navi.
Diggy Dog on the Drogos. Diggy Dog getting to do his thing. So much improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, and a big difference maker it was as well, because in the first game, again, there were a lot of times where it's like you could see the path you wanted to take, what he wanted to do, and it never worked out the way you wanted to. Going into game 2, there were a couple moments where it was like, all right, that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and then there were some where it was just like, this was perfect. Like the way you hit this, or the way you threw out the salvo, anything that really set it up. He had really good target switching. Again, when the rockets needed to hit, he had them.
It's always good when you have them on standby, ready to use. And I think that it's got to be good for just when you land those shots that you need to get things rolling, right? If you have a couple of those awkward moments early on, it's like, okay, brush it off a little bit. But once you get some of those sequences going nicely against the enemy, then it's much easier to lean into it. And I think that's exactly what he was able to do throughout this game against Navi.
And there were so many Dragon Punches that were just in the right spot, right time, right target. Every single time when he was able to find them. There were a lot of moments where it's like, maybe that fight still goes that way, whether or not you find that kill, but you were always hitting like the right person, being able to get rid of Mutu, being able to get rid of Kratos, someone on the side of Navi that just gave your team a pretty big leg up, making them fight that 4v5.
So now it's all tied up. This gives a new hope to NIP within the set to be able to potentially run it back towards them. And I mean, do you think they're going to be able to stick with some of those same picks in that composition that worked out for them, or is Navi going to attempt to shake it up?
I'll admit I'm kind of on the fence about it. Not necessarily because of the way they were able to draft, because a lot of what they got was good. Of course, Willow on the other side didn't perform, I want to say, up to the standard they thought it was going to, and that's kind of where we always end up seeing Willow go, is either, man, it's Fnatic playing it up against someone like Mouse or VP, and it's like, okay, well, you're obviously going to look good, or Navi playing it up against NIP. It's not going to be anywhere near as easy. So looking at the draft that Navi pull out, as well as themselves for NIP, but also the map, and again, if they're just feeling as comfortable.
Let's find out where we're going next. Now it's effectively a best of 3, basically. Those first 2 games canceled each other out, and we're going to Jaguar Falls. So nothing too crazy as far as map selection. These are a lot of the ones we see juggled within those first 3 games times.
And honestly, a lot of comfort that can still come out here. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, if you want to try running Willow again, this is probably going to be your second best bet of being able to make it work as far as maps go. Still probably not high on your priority list. I don't think she's high on anyone's priority list right now. You can see where Drogos sits. Bomb King, I think, is going to be big here as well.
Yeah, they took Drogos off the table after that experience against Diggy Dog on this during the last game. I guess they're not too worried about really needing to run it or anything within this game as well. So I feel like they've just been kind of changing that one ban out, Navi has really, and just responding to the last games.
I feel like it's a good one to flex around with, though. Just like, hey, what's been causing you trouble? This wasn't really fun to play against. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Sometimes you give up something, again, that maybe they're going to be a little bit more comfortable on. Last game it was Drogos, but you take away that, and now you're looking at, okay, well, we let them have Bomb King. Was that a mistake, or are we okay with this?
A very good map for Bomb King.
A very good map.
So NIP, you kind of had to know on Navi's side that they were going to pick that up early, especially when you're second pick and you have those 2, and you can take the Cassie and the Bomb King. So that damage alone can be just very heavy onto your opponent.
I mean, honestly, NIP are going with a draft that's pretty much the same overall. Change out one blaster for another, change out just a couple things here and there, but otherwise you're feeling comfortable because it accomplishes the same thing. You have consistent damage from Cassie, burst damage from Bomb King, Anara and Maldamba are just going to do their thing, and unless you really want to try flexing it again, I really doubt Willow's going to come through. Pip's in, solid for Na'Vi, but you're looking at a lot. This is a map that they've played a lot against Fnatic, and that is specifically kind of the draft feeling I'm getting from this. This is a very Fnatic feel from what Na'Vi have picked up, and it's something that we've seen wild success with.
So if NIP end up going with Willow right now, and they actually don't, they go with Torvald. I was about to say more and more teams have been just showing her love. But Torvald, also a pick that kind of fell out of favor, but he still has things that work depending on what talent you can use. It's just not so adamantly in the favor of one talent as it used to be.
I mean, I will say I have seen way more Willow this split than I have seen Torvald. So it's as weird as it is. It seems like technically it'd be weirder to pull out Torvald, but I'm excited for it again. A lot of just saving moments. So that shield is going to be something that Na'Vi have to factor into every single fight.
Well, let's find out who goes and pulls ahead within this set.
Thanks, Gabby. Well, Torvald, the old grandpa, has made a fun new entrance here into the set as the game is tied 1-1 apiece. How do you feel about this introduction of the old grandpa there?
I mean, I think it does a couple of great things here. It's really good against the Xin, right? Two of his abilities, his escapes, his most defensive, offensive utilities, however you want to slice it, it's really good against it. You want to silence him out. There are very few windows of opportunity for you actually to score a goal against Xin, and unless you get that silence in there, it's tough. And on top of that, there's a duality here. He's going to be able to bubble this Bomb King. Field study, thanks Grandpa, whatever it is, it's placing a lot of weight on the shoulders of the newest NIP member here, Diggy Dog. This is Bomb King's map. This is an enabling champion. This looks like thanks Grandpa as well. Diggy Dog has to go off this game.
Absolutely incredible moments here. Potential is above and beyond what we've seen before with this Torvald. These teams have almost leveled up in many ways, and you could see just the value that NIP are trusting in Bonker and his ability to flex normally a Sheepa character. This is just a very, very telling kind of pick for NIP that they're willing to try different things and to do whatever it takes to usurp Na'Vi from this kind of European throne they have stolen from the rest of the region, stolen from many of the players who have played and play on NIP right now.
And, you know, think of this Bonker Diggy Dog duo now as the inverse of the Fernando +1 thing we were talking about on Frog Isle. Diggy Dog's going to lead the charge here. Primarily, he's going to get the shielding from Bonker. Even though he eats that arrow, he's still in a position to win this fight because of Torvald. He still won't have to back up now and actually get punished first blooded by Creatives.
Huge stuff there. Creatives definitely got the swing vote with this pit, though. If he can continue to play well, get the heals off Lazy's trap, this should be a death for him. But Creatives is going to be there, and oh boy,
finish it.
Healing Potion doesn't quite come up in time, and they're really isolated here. They're trying to retreat, but look at this. Bonker getting caught out. Now Creatives has the ability to heal. That's a reset for Mutu. This should be a dead Sheepa on the Inara, and it is. Natus Vincere, full control here in this fight.
84% flying forward now. Performance so important in these 3 DPS compositions here. Not traditional picks either for Mutu or Creatives. We've talked about a lot. Mutu on these blasters, on the Drogos, on the Xin a little bit now, dipping into Creatives champion pool if anything. He needs to be able to perform on these Creatives, and Pip in general has just, I don't know, it's fallen out of favor for a lot of teams.
It certainly has, and I think you have the impact of Moxie here, still obviously giving you that great healing below 50% health, so you get that full reset of your health, despite Cauterize or things like Death and Taxes being available. Big note too, Leon not banned, not picked at all, so maybe it was a 200 IQ. Mind games sometimes are the things that separate NIP and the rest of the squad. Notably also no Drogos. And
that was banned out.
That was a big, big kind of conversation piece as well, which is determined, despite the ban, Nick, determined who won which game. Drogos has won both times.
140 now to get it through. Phoenix gets his ultimate online. He dives deep. It looks like he may be wanting to pop a heat haze here. Goes into Planet, catches Bonker unawares, and backs off, content with what he's achieved.
This is a character that Phoenix has no problem flexing onto. He's done it so often.
1400.
Oh, tried to find it. That would have been a ton of damage, and now Sheepa's isolated. Misses that shot too. Forces the heat haze. So decent exchange there from NIP as they do seem to quell the momentum from Na'Vi.
There it is, 113. Mutu to the back line. He's swinging away contently. But Torvald, he's got plenty of HP. Too much for, I think, just that spite to have chewed through, so he has to back off. Diggy Dog gets his shield after he's already found one frag, looking for his second. Won't find it, but will single-handedly almost force the entirety of Na'Vi back.
And you can see here, just this Torvald, how's it really playing out? How is it, you know, manifesting itself? Bonker, we can see maybe some of the KDA, some of the damage shielding charts as well. Just kind of see, we'll take a peek. What's been the uptime here? 0-2 so far. Hyper Beam is ready.
I mean, back in the day when Torvald was relevant, it was a Sheepa pick, right? It wasn't something Bonker was really
That's
playing.
what I was saying.
That's my main concern is that I don't know how well he is going to fit into this pick. I don't know how much NIP have been practicing it. You have to imagine a decent bit, but the role they've placed him in is not one that is too demanding here. I really think he just needs to follow Diggy Dog around, bubble him, and then just start gumballing people, whoever Diggy Dog's attacking.
I mean, Diggy Dog being that kind of big damage dealer they're looking to obviously increase his survivability. It's been rough because he's only 2-1 here, and he's close to going down yet again. At least Bonker is for sure. Creative's got his eye on him. That's one. Now he's going to force the damage dealers to jump on. Perdo finds his first kill of the game there. Actually finds his first 3 kills of the game. He was 0-2 to start, so now should be about 3-2 on his slash line.
It's a triple kill for Perdo, but I'm giving credit to that fight to Bonker. I mean, he chickens Diggy Dog, keeps him alive. After he bubbles that chicken, who he probably still would have died because that shield got exploded, he goes for a hyper beam. That's not killing anyone. He's literally just peeling for Diggy Dog long enough for him to survive. He ends up surviving. Bonker loses his life a decent chunk later, so he just provides so much of a window for an NIP to recover there. And then Perdo frankly drives home what Bonker was able to tee up.
You know, I haven't seen Torvald in a while, but man, does Wind Dancer always 10% scaling?
Yeah.
Man, so 50%. I didn't realize it was
It's just back in the
high.
Yeah, I mean, your thought's right. Back in the day, cards only scaled to 4 when Torvald was really relevant.
That's right.
So we never saw it go to 50.
We never saw Wind Dancer 5. That's right. Absolutely. And then he's been gone for a while.
Yep.
All right. So it does seem to be that NIP maybe trying to bring back the old, make the old the new, teach a old dog new tricks. There's a saying about that, and it's not very positive. Ooh, Phoenix here shutting down Diggy Dog, so that's not any good, I think, evidence for it working out.
And, you know, I think Record 2's online for Phoenix at this point, so he is going to just be basically one-tapping these bubbles. Misses a big shot there. Phoenix goes into the heat haze, but he doesn't have anywhere laterally to juke. Doesn't matter. Desert Shadow leverages the bonus damage, and Bonker will fall.
And, I mean, that's just not great play from Phoenix there because he misses some crucial shots, gets under pressure, but then responds well. He knows, hey, I didn't make the right plays 2 times in a row. I got a 3rd chance. I kind of whiffed it. My 4th chance I'm going to take, and that's a quality player right there. As Diggy Dog does find Lazy. I think it was a poppy bomb off the ledge.
And Bird needed to die there, Evan. That should have been communicated, how low he was. I think Creatives probably could have managed that dive aggressively. I guess irresponsibly wouldn't be quite the right word. He's able to get out there, I think, with Moxie. Beautiful peel. Again, Bonker holding this fight together.
Wow. Is he going to get around the corner? I think he is. The heal should be up very, very soon now after the entirety of that waitlist. And now Perdo may be caught out in no man's land. He's getting aggressed on by Lazy. 66% and counting here for NIP. 1-1 on the points, trying to just battle their way to the top. This is so contested. Lazy finds a double kill, though.
He's just chasing Perdo. Perdo was just on the run that whole fight, and Lazy came through. Like a bowling ball, like a wrecking ball, some kind of ball. Lazy with 3 now, looking for his 4th. But Diggy Dog, that's not an easy duel for him to win. Mutu's going to take that one.
And, you know, that's an important thing that Mutu does. Even though that 1v1 is meaningless as far as, you know, NIP taking it, Natus Vincere force it because you can't just look at the point by that time. Whereas where you need to look, that's where Lazy's standing. It's 99%. You need a Grumpy Bomb damage. Maybe you can turn the tide of the fight there. But Mutu just keeps him distracted. It's smart plays from him. And again, Natus Vincere looking to push this through with 2 minutes on the table.
Only 1 ultimate for Na'Vi to work with the time and space, but plenty of time to get these charged up. They didn't, frankly, get super aggressive with their ultimates last game. There was a Heat Haze popped and an Evil Mojo, but not a lot committed there overall from Na'Vi. They never saw the window that they liked. And you know, it's great that Perdo's beating Diggy in damage, but I don't think that can happen if NIP are going to win this game.
Yeah.
I think that Torvald Bomb King combination needs to find some more lethality soon.
Yeah, and that's where we're missing. It's just that this Torvald and the augmentation. He's doing a fine job. Torvald is a good champion. He's going to give you those moments where you think you get a kill and you just don't. And he's going to be good on the defenses and the pushes as far as clutching with that Hyper Beam. And even on the objectives at times in that Dark Room, but there doesn't seem to be a plan that's being enacted consistently to improve Diggy Dog's play.
Kind of like how Lazy just did, where he just sort of like walked through 3 people. That's what needs to be happening a lot of the time between Bomb King and Torvald. That's the idea behind that little dynamic duo, so to speak. Beautiful time and space. Spunky lines it up. He sees it coming a mile away and drives it home.
And you know, I'm going to talk about Spunky for a little bit because I wanted to mention something on the objective. He got a crucial kill on a Diggy Dog after he King Bomb. Phoenix was in the corner. Diggy Dog was about to pursue, and Spunky in that split second finds him with the Star Splitter damage. That's something you don't expect from your support. You just hope for, and that is something that he constantly gives to Na'Vi, making them that top-tier team. The reason why they win so much.
There it is, the final moments here for NIP to be able to stabilize this round. Bonker gets 2. He's still pretty healthy as well. Mutu scared off. Digidog finds Phoenix as well as they retreat. And oftentimes, Evan, it's Genos, and this is Spunky. This is a world-class Paladins player, one of the best to ever do it. You know, he is going to do more than just right-click teammates. He is such an offensive force with this pick. As we saw on display last time on Stone Keep, he's picking up 2 kills to stabilize his team. There is going to be a tremendous offensive effort from Spunky, who I think has the best KD in the game right now.
Absolutely. It's going to be one of those, you know, players that you're always going to get more than you ask for. That's one that you love to have on your team, one that you love to have on your roster. You know, that little bit of damage, pressuring Purdo out. He knows who to hit. He knows where to be. He's such a good representative for this Na'Vi squad. And overtime still ticking away, and a Dread Serpent bot here. They must be really feeling the pressure, Nick.
I think this might be enough. One kill's going to go either way here. The payload inching ever closer. Evan, they're not very healthy. Bonkar's here, but the Wreckers are online. Phoenix is destroying these shields from Bonker, and he falls with the quickness.
And it's just that little bit of damage, that little bit of I'm hitting Digidog for this amount of time, and then I narrowly escape the Bomb King stun so I can continue to apply damage in this fight. It's just expert level stuff. You know, you talk about Genos, and I had people coming into, you know, my streams the other day saying, I don't know how to aim, I can't play very well FPS shooters, but I love Paladins, so I play Genos because he's kind of like auto aim. But I tell you what, Spunky's making it look anything but auto aim here.
Keeping people tracked down as well. All kinds of good stuff coming out, keeping up in the healing charts with Birdie, despite the Maldamba Nara combination that you would expect to just be blowing it out of the water here. But Genos is just a throughput over time is the name of the game, as Cauterize 2 as well as Chronos 3s come online. Phoenix the only one with Wrecker here, and this Torvald is just feeling non-existent. So though he may be down, you know, 10 to 15K on the damage charts, don't get it twisted. Phoenix is doing a lot of work just popping shield bubbles for his team.
Couple of great shots there coming through.
Right there, 3,800 damage. That's not going to be counted towards his final score.
Yeah, but doing a lot. And that is what you hope for. 1150, so dangerous. And Digidog, depending on where he goes, oh, that wall almost doesn't work out for him. I mean, it does isolate Lazy, and that's what they were going for. But it denies access to the back line where he might have been able to pick off Creatives or Spunky or Phoenix. So I don't know if that was the most optimal BK, but it was a safe King Bomb there.
It's something, Evan, and that's what they need. They need anything at this point. Not a very sexy seismic crash either, but also one I feel like was kind of necessary just to get the zoning, just to ensure that Digidog survives there and he can't get counter pushed in. NIP, they're playing for the objective right now, but no one's on it. They're concerned about winning this fight, but they're losing this fight.
And you know, the interesting thing about this too is that they are really trying to play off the comeback mechanic. They wanted to just get that kill, grab control of this battlefield, stand on the point, but it's just not working. Phoenix and Spunky, and oh yeah, Phoenix again combining for 3 kills and pushing NIP back. This just may do it.
Best of 5, so we've got one more game here. Either way you slice it, NIP trying to come back and take this. There's a lot of unfortunate ultimates having to be fought into. They don't even make it back. Lazy dug in 2 turrets, barricade, all a blunder, looking like a late game Realm Royale engineer there. I don't think anyone's getting in there.
That's tough. Yeah, you're going to have to bring him out because you're definitely not going into his house, his zone, his home. And Na'Vi right now making this set their own with a 2-1 victory. Will they be, lead. Will they be able to get victory, though, with the 3rd game coming up in just a moment? Well, let's send it back to the desk and see what they have to say.
And soon enough, we'll find out if that is the case. But what we know right now is Na'Vi looking good once again in game number 3. And as a unit, whether you're looking at Lazy there in the front line, being very objective focused, making sure in those last moments, or Spunky on support.
And that was, I think, the big thing. And this is something I was thinking about. You know, they were mentioning aim, I guess, when it comes down to Genos. And one thing that's great about, you know, an automatic weapon is that for the most part, you have 24 shots that if I miss half of them, I'm still going to be able to hit 12. I can kind of trace with it. And then you get players like Spunky where they're just tracing all 24 onto you every single time the shots need. Like, his aim was on point, his play was on point, and there were moments like that. That was actually a big one for me. He goes right around the pillar, right as that stun would have connected with him, and he keeps his DPS going.
The casters are right when they said the thing about Spunky is he's not just going to be a passive healer, and he does a good job with his healing, obviously. But he knows how to make those plays, and he knows how to get into the face of the opponents, and it's very apparent when time and time again we see him line up some really nice Genos through time and space.
And there's a thing I would say that comes down to a lot of supports. For the most part, you're looking either your team goes in with the plan of we're going to kill the support first because we know that's their healing, or we're going to kill, like the Bomb Kings, your high damage dealers first because those are the ones that have the best chance of fighting back. Spunky is doing both. He's doing high damage and he's healing, but no one's looking at him. A lot of the time his positioning, he's sitting off on the side. He's being able to get somewhere where, again, vantage point, a lot of easy access, and a lot of good damage.
And that's kind of what you need to be moving forward with this one. With Na'Vi up 1 game within the set, guaranteed 1 game to be going on ahead right now. But do you think that NIP are going to push it to a Game 5?
I mean, we're going to Ice Mines, so if there's any map that you could ever go to push it to a Game 5, I would say it's this one. But again, I think the big thing that's kind of been making or breaking NIP is some of these split-second decisions based on their draft of, well, we really want to kill Lazy, so we're going to put a wall up and then King Bomb just Lazy instead of keep the wall down and maybe hit 3 people and get a couple kills there. It's moments like that that I think define a fight for them. And then when you're looking at the point, when you're fighting on the point, you have to focus on the point. You can't just hope that the fight's going to go your way. You actually have to have someone getting that percentage while you're fighting.
Switching up the bans quite a bit here, though. Both Terminus and Inara taken off the table, so all frontliners are banned away.
I like Navi's flexibility on this because they take away, I think, the 2 biggest front lines on this map outside of if you can get Khan and Makoa. You say, okay, well, these 2 are incredibly strong. Terminus, because you're not necessarily closed in with him, but he has a lot of control around this area, a lot that you can't do to get away from him if he does get close. And Inara being able to control the flow of the map. So it makes those front lines just a little bit more. It opens up Drogos, and you're able to get a lot of what you would like right here.
This is going to dictate the direction of both of the compositions, too, since when you take off so many frontliners that have very distinct ways of wrapping around them. So the Nando and the Barrack picked up fairly early. Cassie, Bomb King, Nando for NIP with Maldamba. All very aggressive because Nando as a frontliner can be very much in that same vein.
A really, really strong lineup coming down from NIP, but again, a very strong lineup coming down from Na'Vi. They have a lot of flexibility. If they want to do double frontline, they could, but Buck, the one that they didn't ban, finally going to come through way further down than I thought I'd ever see Buck.
Banned 3 games straight. And now he's up, and he's here and ready to play. On the opposite side, looking at rounding it out potentially with the Talus, and they do actually lock this in. We've seen some teams bust it out. Virtus Pro, for instance, Elven Path hops on it once in a while.
I think it's going to be strong, and I think it's a lot of, I want to try to burn down XYZ, Buck, Barrack, someone before they can get rolling, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure from the map that gets put on Talus without him really wanting to. I'm curious to see how NIP is going to deal with it.
All right, everyone. Game number 4 is on its way, so let's get to it.
Well, earlier, Gore had actually said that he doesn't think it's going to be a 4-game set.
Ooh.
So are you expecting
What did he?
this
Oh, he thought it was going to be a 5.
either a 5 or a 3?
5 or a 3.
So do you think that this is going to be finishing up here on Ice Mines?
I think Na'Vi have a pretty unmessable draft
That's
at the
true.
moment. I think this Talus can work. Don't get me wrong. It's just that most of the time it probably won't get to his spot. And I think his spot is trying to 1v1 this Buck. He's got Antediluvian, really good DPS that is going to be able to just burn through the bulk up. Hopefully there's a very long channel time now that is heavily punished by Overdrive. See how many conditions that I kind of laid out there?
Yeah,
though?
yeah,
that's
I know.
It's the theme.
It's a lot.
Like,
and you also have to look, if you
know.
take a look at Creative's loadout here, as you can see some of these talents coming through, and the particulars, pretty usual inner strength will be the reset for him. But you know what it is, Nick? It's the rapid sustain. That's rough. That's going to offset about 40% of that Antediluvian when he gets below 50% health. It's really going to be just cauterize 1, kind of. Maybe if he's got caught 1. I don't think he's buying caught because he's got Antediluvian. It's going to be a rough matchup either way. Add that 40% damage reduction.
Yeah.
These are going to be 2 tanky mofos.
best case snenario is you nullify it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you're making much progress.
No.
one can when it's Buck. You've also got the shenanigans with True Power that come into play on Ice Mine.
That's true.
But that's all assuming you get your ult charge, which we have seen that happens where a Talus just does nothing for a whole round.
And you also just have to have a strategy, if you're Na'Vi, of how to deal with it. I mean, the patience from Bonker is incredible here. And he uses Blitz Upper right away, and it doesn't get anything. I mean, and he's out of the fight now for 12 seconds. That's a rough start, I think, and Na'Vi already with pressure.
That is a really rough start. Losing Sheep that quickly.
Yikes.
My goodness gracious. NIP struggling to get anything going here. Na'Vi get a free win, a free 70% on the objective before they even have to draw fire, lose health.
You know, Na'Vi remind me of how a good team can do things that are very casual and still, because they're good, not have to be the ones driving this momentum in a crazy way. You almost have to try to do a lot to beat them, to get them off their ground. And that's what Creatives and Mutu, I think, maybe are annoying a lot of players with how patient they are. You see Bonker, he'll only be so patient before he just decides, and wow!
Uh-oh, Evan, I can't watch.
You just see the deletion. Mutu with a triple kill, looking to find a quadra kill here. I don't know if he's going to get it. Spunky's going to deny him that, or more so just take a verified measure to secure the payload there. We'll call it that. But Mutu, boy, oh boy, erupting on that point fight out of nowhere.
I didn't even watch it, and I still feel like I was there.
It was painful.
That's just good casting.
You know, here's the thing, Nick. Like I was mentioning, it's Mutu doesn't do much. All of a sudden, shows up, five eliminations right there, basically, because he hits everybody who dies.
They're not used to, yeah, exactly. He tagged all 5 of those kills. People aren't used to playing against Combustible. They're not used to the 1,300 damage, the knockback, just the sheer punishment that this talent brings through. And the way he's able to play, the way he can just turn the Terminator switch on and off and then go from diving in on Maeve to just turning it off and then sitting 90 feet behind a team fight in safety.
And, I mean, nice plays there from Phoenix as well. Gets the Shimmer activation, the reset of his dash. Also allows himself to go into the withdraw a couple of times and stay safe. But Mutu has just been the one, you're right, Nick, just changing the game a little bit here and there, and it's enough. NIP used to being able to clump up on this point, regroup, hide behind maybe the Fernando shield, but not today.
It's rough. It is really tough. You've got Buck Genos. You've got Phoenix's best flex pick in the Shaolin. You've got what is becoming a very scary pick for anyone, really, in the Drogos. And then you've got Barrick, the really perfect complement in my eyes, the perfect frontliner to just sit with this Luminary and help his team win more. He's not really starting anything, but he's keeping it going.
And, I mean, the last thing you need when you have 3 damage dealers is a guy like Spunky finding double kills or finding clutch pickups out of nowhere when you're really worrying about the 3 main threats, and that's what they're doing. Na'Vi just putting together just this all-star roster, this all-star performance, and you can see there Mutu continuing his rampage. Spunky finds the kill yet again, always on point with the damage, and that's going to be a 2-0 from Na'Vi.
Lacey's dome shields have been really good as well, and you know, providing safe haven to a lot of his teammates. You hate to see this. You hate to see that come through if you're an NIP fan. And then he looks like he was already celebrating, like the crosshair movement there was very celebratory as he is 10,000 damage out in front of the pack. And we talk about the perfect complement to a 3 DPS composition here. Lazy just poking from a safe distance. He hasn't been on the back foot. That's where Barrick is best when he's coming at you.
And if Mutu wins here, you would say that Drogos has been the deciding factor as far as the champion that has won every game that he has been played in. For
Feels
either
like it
NIP.
always comes back to Drogos.
Yeah, or Na'Vi. It always comes back to you.
Here's the shenanigans.
And what are they going to get here? Wow, Void Grip definitely shuts that down. Bonker, maybe even later, because of the Void Grip time, than the rest of NIP.
Like he got two dismounted there, and they'll be coming up over the hill now. Lazy, he's the important one to get, so he can't get set up. Here comes the King Bomb.
Oh, that's dead, right?
It looks
Completely
like
dead.
He wants to get out
He
here.
missed.
Bird is going to be able to peel for Diggy Dog, keeping him alive, and Creatives dies in the process.
And Mutu, you don't usually see him drop kills like that, but he misses that fire spit. Maybe getting a little pressure, maybe a little worried, and you got to give credit to where credit's due. Bird with the Dread Serpent as well buys some time, so makes things happen. But boy, oh boy, that was a Diggy Dog dead to rights, if I've ever seen him. Right where he died last round.
Spunky's going to be able to make it out in similar fashion. Mutu, I don't think he gets this Dragon. He calls it off early as he hears the King Bomb come through. Diggy Dog, Dragon Punch won't land either. Nothing from King Bomb or the Dragon Punch.
And this is getting worrisome now because they've almost committed to standing on this objective, trying to take control here. The Immortal is ready. He's just waiting for this Combustible. He's got the timing down. He's going to find Diggy Dog again, and Mutu finds the kill. And Sheepa Mutu goes in and finds the kill. The damage over time of Combustible is just too much of a bubble to burst for NIP. Natus Vincere looking like they're going to land again.
Did we just watch the first round again?
I don't know.
I was like, same spot, same thing over and over again.
I hate when they repeat rounds, man.
Yeah, it's rough. But a fire spit over the top of the big box once more. Well, damn near secure this point for NIP. Perdo bleeding out on the Cassie. He's not going to be able to be a factor. Sheepa dead once again. Diggy Dog pinned to the wall. One by one, they fall, and they fall 5-0. Take back failed by NIP.
And I love it, but I think as a sports fan, as a competition fan, I think it's over. I think that point fight ended hopes for NIP. They're going to give their all, no doubt about it. This is not questioning those guys' effort because they always give it and they always care. But I think the fact that they tried that thing, that Talus shenanigan, the reason they picked him, the potential to take control back of this fight, and it just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And they had comeback mechanic. I mean, I think that just is the, I don't know, that was the nail in the coffin for me.
It hasn't really shut down the Buck at all. And it's a tough job to do because Bonker is such a flank-minded player. I think he had to do a decent amount of not flanking and really just kind of sitting and making sure the Buck doesn't go off. But Buck's not even their biggest problem, Evan. This Drogos is 9-0 at this point.
Yeah,
we can pull it back up. This Drogos alone has pulled more uncontested killing blows than the entirety of NIP and then some.
And that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Natus Vincere in a 4-game set. So, Gore, you got, I don't know, man. Maybe Gore's curses, whatever he says doesn't happen. Gore's washed up, man. You know, the Blues Clues notebook, you got to, I don't know, man. Maybe you just got to step that up. Maybe it's time for a new tie, new shirt color. Gore, let us know what you think.
We'll get him a pink jacket.
Yeah, maybe he needs that. I don't know. Or maybe there's too much pink and we need, some blue around here.
They didn't pick Willow, and that's what it was.
They didn't know the Willow way.
They didn't do the Willow dance.
All right, send it back to the desk. GG's not.
It's true. They didn't have Willow. That's what it was. That was 100%.
I don't think I would be a fan of the pink jacket over the pink shirt and the pink tie.
Might be too much.
Yeah, just we'll wait on that one. But I think it's pretty obvious the way that Mutu is playing. You got to give a lot of that play to him. Drogos in general has been a talking point, whether we're like, oh, Invokal's doing so great on Drogos, or Andrew Doodle's doing great on Drogos. Mutu, just wonderful.
I am willing to say that I think I simultaneously underestimated Na'Vi and overestimated NIP because there was a lot in those fights that, again, it's like, okay, Drogos hit you with the same move twice. At the same, like the same spot, same place, exactly, like everything about it was the same scenario, and you still let it kill you. There was a point early on where, again, they did the Talus thing on NIP, and they get 2 people, they have a huge zone, nobody's standing on the point. It is literally what they did on Jaguar Falls, where it's like, cool, you stopped them from getting there, and then did nothing with the space you had. Na'Vi not only played incredibly well, but they were able to capitalize on a bunch of mistakes that probably shouldn't have been there anyway.
And once that third point went through and they got that capture in the second round, and it was in the same fashion that the first one happened, where do you go from there? You're
down.
Thinking, yeah, crap. Well,
Not
here
to
we
land.
are. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. This was super important because of Na'Vi and NIP fighting out for that land potential. But this was just set 1 of the day. Remember, we do have Fnatic versus VP coming up next, so stick around.